guys, Callum from the Bushcraft Cave here and welcome to another video. Something we get asked an awful lot at the Bushcraft Cave is what are the best knots to use when setting up a tarp? So we thought the best way to show would be through a video. What I've got with me today is a DD tarp 3x3 in olive green. This is one of the most popular tarps that we retail on the website, and it's also the one that I personally use. We've taken it out of the original packaging and I put it in an overboard 8-litre dry sack. And the reason for that is where it's in a dry tube like this, it's waterproof, it's really big, it's got a lot more room, and the bag's a lot more durable. There's going to be 4 knots in total I'm going to show you today. The first thing we need to do is set up our ridge line from the 2 trees. So we're going to zoom in now on the first knot and have a look at that in a bit more detail. Once you've found the first tree, which is the right distance apart, we need to set up the first knot in our ridge line. The ideal height for the ridge line, you want to kind of put it up there, and that's only so when you come under the tarp you're not ducking under it the whole time. But for the purpose of the demonstration, we'll do it a little bit lower down the tree. So you go, sorry, we'll go the other way. We'll go round the tree once. One thing I should mention actually, just before we carry on, is in the end of the ridge line here, I've just put a knot. You can use just an overhand knot to make a loop, or you can use a figure of 8, but you just want to have a loop at one side of the ridge line. Okay? So pull this around, make sure there's enough slack, and then we're going to go over the top and back around the tree. With the loop you created with the bend, it's just going to go through the end of your ridge line, like so, and then you'll get a stick, pop it in there, and what you can then do is just cinch it down on the tree, and it will sit nice and tight. Now take your ridge line over to the second tree, and we're going to make our second knot here. Now the best way to remember it is triangle, triangle, loop, loop. That's how I remember it, that's how I was taught it, and I'll show you why that makes a lot of sense. So I've got my cordage hanked here rather than having it loose. It just makes things a lot easier. So we're going to go round the tree once. We'll set it to the height, about there's fine. And we go under, and that's our first triangle. Bring it back over the top. And you want to really crank down the pressure now. Put it nice and tight so its ridge line's nice and taut. Cross under the paracord at the back. And here is our second triangle. And then all we're going to do is form a little bite on the rope. Just like that. Take a stick, pop it through the loop, pull it tight, and that's not going to go anywhere now. We have our ridge line set up now just how we want it. It's nice and taut, it's the right height. So the next thing we need to do is we want to make our tarp as taut as possible on either side of the ridgeline. We're using a diamond configuration, but it's the same for almost any setup. You want your tarp to be nice and taut against the ridgeline so it's not sagging, which will cause problems if it's raining and if there's heavy wind. So we want everything nice and tight. The knot we're going to use to do that, it's absolutely ideal. It's called a Prusik knot. I've got one here which I actually had attached to my ridgeline anyway, and I always do. So this is what it would look like when it's finished, and you can see that even if I pull it with all my force, it won't slide across the ridgeline, but I can move it easily with my hand. So it just makes it's just an ideal knot to use for keeping the tarp really, really taut. I'm going to show you how to make one. It's really simple. Get a piece of paracord, I don't know, 9 to 12 inches long, something like that. Just tie a couple of knots in the end. I've just used a couple of overhand knots there, really simple. And to make this, all you have to do, I'll do it nice and slowly so you can see, put it behind your ridge line, take the end with the knot, and then you're just going to fold it over the ridge line, just like that, and under itself. And that's one. And now we just want to go back through the centre, and we want to do that again. So just over through the centre, and that's 2. the optimal number I found is 4. 3 I find slips and 5 is just unnecessary. 4 seems to be what works well for me, but obviously you can experiment yourselves. So I'm just going to do 2 more of these. So bring it up. I'll try and show you so it's nice and clear. Just bring it down. That's 3, and then open her up, and we're just going to do 1 more. So we're going to go over the top and back down through the center, and that's 4. And as you can see, I can put that under enormous strain and that won't move on the line there. So we've got 2 of these together. You obviously only need 1 on each side, so I'm just going to take this one off and I'm going to set this one up down the other end of the ridgeline. We're virtually 75% of the way there now. We've set up our tarp. It's nice and taut using those Prusik knots across our ridgeline. You can see that this is set up in a diamond configuration, not a square. This is my preferred setup. I think it's really quick, and I've only got to worry about 2 sides rather than 4. So on each end of the diamond, I've got 25 feet of paracord hanks, and I usually have 1 side tied down and 1 side left open. So I'm going to show you the next knot now, which is for the side that's going to be tied to the floor, and it's called the Guyline Hitch. After your tent peg's in the ground, slightly angled, 45 degrees probably optimal. This is a bit too, this is probably closer to 90, which isn't ideal. Just to add that extra resistance in, what we're going to do, take your paracord and wrap it around, and it works on a similar principle to the Prusik knot here. So with the working end, what we're going to do is we're going to make a few loops. So we're going to go over once, we're going to go over twice, we're going to go over 3 times, and we're also going to go over a 4th time, just like so. Similar to, exactly the same as what we've used on the Prusik. And then we're going to bring the whole thing underneath, and with our middle finger we're going to grab it and take it through to make a loop, just like so. And then it's just a case of pulling this side down, lifting this side up, and sliding the whole thing up, down, up, down, up. Another variation if you are stuck for time, and this is probably arguably a much quicker way, is just take it and just keep wrapping it round and round and round. Just like that. So we're basically done now with the tarp. We've set it up, and normally you would just finish off the other end exactly the same way we did our other end there. You just put it down and tie it in a Guyline hitch, or just continue to wrap it around a tent peg. I just want to show you one other variation though, because during the daytime I actually like having one end quite high and flat almost, because it provides a really large working area, and you can stand up, and it's just a nice area to work. And then in the evening time you can then drop it down when you're ready to get in your hammock, or if you're sleeping on the floor, your bivvy, whatever you've got. And the best way to do this is, if you get quite a tall stick, this one's completely rotten, but it's fine for what we need, and take your 25 feet of paracord, and first of all just wrap it round once over the top, really simple, and then we just bring this down to a tent peg I've got set up in the ground here, and just continue to wrap it round. We're just going to use the quick method rather than a Guyline hitch. And that's it. 4 really quick, easy to learn knots, which will allow you to set up your tarp really quickly. And it's important to do that, especially when it's getting dark and you need to get your bedding up quickly. The knots we've gone through here are really straightforward. They just take a little bit of practice, and you'll have them down in no time. The whole setup you could probably do in a few minutes. I know we've mainly had a focus on the knots that you're going to be using, but a bit more information just in case some of you wanted to know. You know, for a ridgeline, I would recommend something like 50 feet of paracord, which is a really good length, or 550 paracord that is. And if you can, get the nylon stuff, which is a little bit more superior to the polyester. With the ends of the tarp, when we're using a diamond configuration like this, I use 25 feet of 550 paracord. Everything's hanked together. Again, we're just, you know, making optimal efficiency here. So when we come to get it out, it comes apart easy. It's not knotting. It's not, you know, it's not stressful. It's a very quick process. So really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear, and we'll see you on the next one.